Hi, welcome to Smartboard 101. I'm your host, Robert Rocha, and I'm an instructional technology specialist with the El Paso Independent School District. In recent segments, we've been talking about adding interactivity into your Smart Notebook lessons. Today's focus is going to be on the table tool. The table tool can be used in your classroom to focus and to categorize different items within a certain subject area that you were teaching with your students. So let's go back to our Smartboard and kind of see how that particular feature works. So I'm going to go to my table tool slide that I have, and it goes there. And as you can see, I have a table here, and it has a table of two choices categories, a state and a picture. And I got my pictures here of my states and of my the actual words of the states name, the actual state names that I have here. And one thing I want to emphasize to you when we're doing this Smart Notebook is that anything that's in that wide environment is going to be an object. And so it can be moved, it can be manipulated. So even though it's a physical picture here or a word, they all have the same properties that they can be moved and manipulated on the smartboard. So now how this would work in your classroom is you've got these states, you've got the names, or you want to have the kids make that correlation between the name and the actual state and make that physical contact on the board to make that happen. So what I'm going to go ahead and do here is I'm going to go ahead and pick my state. I'm going to go ahead and choose Texas. And I'm going to grab Texas here. And I'm going to move it within inside that box. And when I did that, notice the box has a blue light around it, a blue highlight. That's letting me know that that particular table tool is selected. So when I let go, it re-emphasizes or reshapes that word to fit within that particular box. And so now the student then, once they've selected the state, or the state of Texas, now they got to put the picture and put them together. So now they would take the state, hold on it, and they would actually move it. And notice now, again, you can barely see it, but it's highlighted in blue around there, letting me know that I'm selecting that particular box. But notice again, the picture is bigger than the box. When I release this, it's going to resize in that particular box. And so there it is. It resizes the state of Texas to fit your particular slide. And it doesn't matter if it's a small box or a large box, the actual table tool will resize it for you in that particular way. And so now the kids would continue. They would go ahead and put California and then move things over and finish up by placing all the items within the actual chart. So this is a good way of categorizing things with your students and so forth. There's many applications you can use this table chart with. But let's go now and recreate that page. And again, when we're building Smart Notebook lessons, it's always better to build it on your computer and present it on the actual board itself. Although you can build it on the board, it's always best to do it on the computer. So let's go back over here into our computer screen. And so I'm going to go ahead and exit from my full screen. And I'm going to go ahead and add a new page. I'm going to add a new page there. And so I'm going to go ahead and go to my toolbar. I'm going to go to my table tool. And when I click on that, a window opens up here and allows me to select any chart size that I want or table size from 8 by 8. And so I know my original slide, I had 3 states that I wanted to choose from. Plus, I'm selecting those 3, but I needed 2 more to actually add the names in order to identify the categories there. So I'm going to go and choose that. And when it comes up, this is what I have. And you can notice now that it doesn't look exactly the same as the original chart, but that's okay. We're going to manipulate this and change the properties of it to show it the other slide. But one thing I want to emphasize, though, is if I want to move this particular feature, notice I can't move it at all. If I want to move it, I have to go to my select tool here, my marquee select. And when I get that square in the upper left-hand corner, I can move it around anywhere on my board. But if I don't have that marquee select, then I can't move it at all. So that's always a little key to remember, because a lot of times teachers get really frustrated when they can't move that particular table. And so what I want to do now is I'm going to resize it. So I'm going to move this one a little bit closer. So I'm taking my cursor and putting it on the left-hand side. And when I got the double arrows, I'm going to move it in a little bit closer. Notice it became that red line. So I'm moving it from that to this new point here. I'll go to the other side and do the same thing. Got my double arrow, resizing it. And so now I'm going to make this a little bit larger, make my box larger here. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it about that size here. And you say, well, that's not really big. Well, what happens is when I move this bar here, this spacing that I already created is going to stay constant. So I'm going to go ahead and move it. I'm going to try to get it about right there. and watch what happens. Notice it didn't make it, it made it the same size there, so I'm going to go ahead and move it down here a little bit. And so pretty much, I think I've got a decent size of table that I want to go ahead and use, and so now I want to go ahead and add my category. So I'm going to go ahead and just kick my cursor right there, and I'm going to go and type in the word state. I'm going to highlight that real quickly because I want to make it a little bit larger. I want to make that about a 36. And I also want to block, not block left, I want to center justification. So I'm going to go center. And now I have my word state. I'm going to drag it in my box. And notice when I drag it, I get that blue highlighting box. And it puts it inside there. And now I need to put the word picture. Same thing applies. I'm going to go ahead and highlight that. Make it a 20, actually make it 36 again. And justify that center. And I'm going to place that picture there, and there I go. And so now what I want to go ahead and do is I got to go and search for the pictures of my state. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is go to my gallery with my smart notebook, and I'm going to type in the name of my state. My first state, of course, is going to put Texas. And try that again. Not a very good typist today. And I'm going to do a search. And it comes up 3 pictures, and there's the one that I wanted to use. I can just drag that one out. Here we go. And it's kind of a little big, so I'm going to make it smaller by grabbing that white circle there in the bottom right. Put that there. And so for sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and just drag the pictures from the other slide that I had and put them on my smart notebook. So right now I've already demonstrated you how to find things within a smart gallery and how to actually create words by typing things in. So for sake of time, I'm going to go ahead and go back to my dual page display. And I'm going to take the other picture of California. I'm going to drag it out from one page to the next. Highlight Alaska now. Click that out there. And take all my words that I need, which is Texas. Drag that out. And drag California. And drag Alaska if I can. Now one thing you notice is when the kids come up to the board, the editor's coming up here. And so that might kind of, get them off settled as far as how, oh, I touched the board and this editor came up. I think I broke the board. Well, we want to prevent that kind of fear in our students. So let's go ahead and let's lock all those items up so they can just be allowed to move, but the editor doesn't show. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a giant marquee select. So I'm going to go back, first of all, I'm going to go back to my single page display. And there's all my words that I have here. And so I'm going to grab from the upper left-hand corner here, I'm going to drag my marquee, my cursor, all the way across all of the 5 items that I have here. And notice now all the marquees came up, all the different editor tools came up. It doesn't really matter what picture that I'm using. I can go ahead and go to the drop-down menu and go to locking. And when I go here, I'm going to lock in place. And so now all of the items, when you click on them, have the lock. And so now the kids can go up to the board again, and you've created your slide. They can come up here, and I can move it, hopefully. Smartboard is always giving me a little bit of problems every now and then, and that's okay. So let me try that again. Well, I'm going to go back to my computer screen and actually do it from here, and grab my picture. Wow, it's being really... This is one of those things called unexpected behavior in our smartboard. I'm not sure why that happened, so I'm going to go and unlock the board. This is not, I'm not sure what happened, but why it's doing that, but we can always fix that. So I'm going to go back up here. I'm going to go to each individual lock and unlock it. Oh, I did lock in place. I made a move, allow moves. I want to go and do that. So I made a mistake, and I apologize to my audience, but we all make mistakes from time to time. So when we do that, when we choose that locking, we always want to go to allow move, not to lock in place. And that's a classic mistake that I made. So let me go and change that. And so now I can move the words California, and we go and do this one here, allow move, and I can put California inside my box. So I hope you enjoyed using the table tool today, and I hope you used it in your class. And this pretty much wraps it up for using the table tool. And remember, when mistakes happen, they can always be fixed, and they're easily corrected in Smart Notebook.